Here we are, back again, episode 3.
Episode 3, brother.
GangboX Podcast. We
Yes.
have our first guest.
First guest, please introduce yourself, sir.
I'm David O'Reilly, CEO of Howard Hughes. First guest. No one told me this. It's a lot of pressure, Vince. I don't know.
No, it's good. It's it was gonna be you, Nicole Candazaro, or Ruben Da Silva. We're gonna have some.
When they said no, you chose me?
No. No, I think it's better to have you instead of a political figure, honestly, because we do always segue into politics. It just happens that way. So it's good. I think this is a good starting point for a first guest. So
Great.
thank you for coming on.
I'm
man.
excited.
Yeah.
So the GangboX Podcast, right? All things Vegas, all things construction, all things union. And obviously in our first 2 episodes, the movie studios have come up quite a bit. It's a big deal for our members. But I think we should start off with you letting us know, what is Howard Hughes, right? What is it that company does?
Yeah, most of us know Howard Hughes in Las Vegas for Summerlin, and we're a community builder. And I differentiate ourselves from a traditional real estate developer and say we're a community builder. Because when I think about a real estate developer, and I've worked for them in the past and I've financed them in the past, they buy a piece of dirt, they build a building, they sell it and move on, and they don't care about what's left around that building after they leave. Maximize profit, get out of town. Howard Hughes, we're different. We've been building Summerlin for 25 years plus. We don't just build buildings there, we live there, our kids go to school there, we're embedded there and completely aligned with our residents in building communities. So I call Howard Hughes a community builder. We do everything from the road, schools, fire, police, office buildings, shopping centers, everything that you see in Summerlin. We've had our hand in molding that clay for 25 years, and we'll be here for another 50 until we're done.
Yeah. So can you elaborate a little bit on kind of the relationship between Howard Hughes and the owner, the end user? Like, how do you get involved? Do you own these office buildings? Is there a separate owner? Are you in charge of picking a general contractor? Like, where does Howard Hughes fit in from beginning to end when there's a construction project going on?
So Howard Hughes owns the 22.8 thousand acres at Summerlin, and anything that gets built there, the vast majority of the time, we're picking the contractor, we're building it. Not always do we intend to own that piece of commercial real estate forever. We want to own the downtown shopping experience because it impacts the way people feel about where they live. We want to own all the office buildings. We want to own all the apartment buildings because we think that we can create a better experience. Am I going to own the grocery anchored shopping center that are on every other corner? No, because there's really not much special we can do with those. And I just haven't had great experience in my career owning hotels, so we don't own those.
Yeah.
But away from that, we try to own all the kind of meaningful commercial experiences that we can give to the residents there.
And so I think that's a good explanation. Now, what are your thoughts kind of on this movie studio? Just an elevated perspective on what it would do and how it would impact the community of Southern Nevada.
Well, look, maybe I'll take a step back.
Sure.
Because I think it's important to set why I think it's important, and then we'll talk about the specifics of why it's important. I spend more time than anything else in my job as CEO of Howard Hughes going out and trying to recruit companies to move here. And I just try and recruit them to move to Las Vegas. Now, I hope they choose Summerlin. I would choose Summerlin because I'm biased, but
right.
Regardless, it doesn't matter. I just want them to come to Las Vegas. Because if I convince Microsoft, OpenAI, XYZ company to come here, those are jobs. Those are people that are going to look for housing. They're going to need apartments. They're going to spend money. They're going to shop. They're going to dine. They're going to go to local businesses. They're going to spur construction. So the more jobs I can recruit into Nevada, into Las Vegas, the better off we are. Now, I have not had a ton of luck over the 5 years I've been CEO, the 10 years I've been at Howard Hughes. We've had some nice victories. We've had the gaming company, digital gaming company down right near where we're going to build the studios, Aristocrat Technologies. We built them a 2-building office building. We just built another building, signed a lease with Google Fiber, brought them into the market. So we've had some victories. They just haven't been big. And the hardest thing that I've had to overcome is the educated workforce in the Valley. When people are looking about moving their company and they're coming out of California and they're a technology company and they look at Arizona or Phoenix and Las Vegas, Phoenix has University of Phoenix. It's the largest educational institution in the country. They're like, all right, I can get well-educated workers coming out of there every year. UNLV, great school. I mean, super talented kids that come out of there, but it's relatively small and it's not as deep. And when they're thinking about competing with their other competitors, they're looking at Austin or Phoenix because of the depth of workers. So fast forward, not being able to recruit a ton of technology companies, even though a lot of them were running for the hills out of California. Every time the taxes went up, I'm over there. I'm knocking on doors, right? Yeah. You want to pay 2% more to these guys, or you want to come here and pay nothing?
Right.
I came across an article in one of the local papers that Mark Wahlberg moved here and he wanted to build a film studio in Nevada. I'm like, okay, those are jobs. And we have the skilled labor here to fulfill that need, unlike many other industries. This is a perfect fit. Called a couple of people I know that got in contact with some folks who were near where we lived. I set up a meeting, met with him. He said, yeah, that sounds great. You could be our partner. He called me up 2 days later, said, can you come back out on Monday? I said, sure. Came back out and met the CEO of Sony that Mark introduced me to and said, you really think you can build a studio here? I said, yeah, I do. I think this is something that we need. So that's what brought us to bring this forward. And from my perspective, there's no better way to create jobs, to bring jobs into the Valley, high-paying jobs, average wages over $110,000 across the board for everyone that works in this studio. And we're talking over 12,000 jobs that we haven't had the opportunity to do. Right. Yes, there's been some nice victories. We built the Allegiant Stadium. That created some jobs. We built the Tesla factory. That created some jobs. A lot of robots, but some jobs. And this is the first major corporate relocation that is going to diversify the economy, going to bring high-paying jobs, going to really kickstart the construction that isn't going on right now, given the economic headwinds, in a way that I don't think we've seen. It also comes along with meaningful vocational training and funding to pre-K programs. I mean, there's so many aspects of this studio that is the catalyst of change and diversification that I haven't been able to create for 10 years. And there's no better time. There's no more needed time than right now.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff, man. So I didn't know some of that you told me, and you and I have had a couple conversations, dude. And
we passed each other in the halls in Carson City once or twice, Vince.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of that I didn't know, and thank you for sharing, dude. What do you think that? So the workforce piece is real. What you're talking about. So I want you to know that I do the same thing, and that's not known. People don't know that I try to bring businesses here also. Believe it or not, I go to different conferences all over the country.
You bring a business here and they need a headquarters, somebody has to build it. Those are jobs that are going to build that factory, build that headquarters, build that whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're very much aligned in that regard.
And so that's something that I think maybe in the future we could work on together. I know oftentimes some people have their ideologies about unions and unionism and this and that. But for me, I know, like, I'm a realist. If we don't have economic development, then we're not building shit. And that's just a fact. What I do here is exactly what you're saying. I just did a life science and biotech tours. And I take the legislators to different parts of the country and we do these legislative tours. And what I hear from, and I'm not going to name the companies, but what I hear from them is that your workforce development is nowhere near where it needs to be for us to even think about going to your state. And it's not the construction workforce development.
It's the permanent. It's the jobs after it's built. And there's no bigger biomedical market in this country than Boston.
I was there at Kendall Square.
Right. Well, and as you look around Kendall Square, it's MIT, Harvard, BU, BC, Emerson, right? And that's like a third of the schools that are within a 9 iron of Kendall Square. Yeah. So it's a different pond that those companies are recruiting their fish out of.
I met the doctor, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about Pfizer, but it's just an interesting story that I met the doctor who created the shot. What is it called?
The vaccine?
The vaccine.
Yeah.
That guy was like that dude was like a fucking rock star, bro. There was like chicks throwing their panties and shit. It was fucking wild, bro. I was like, look at this guy. He's like this nerd and like all these like it's fun, but we need nerds. Like, let's not pretend. But it was amazing. But I met him up in Kendall Square, dude. I did one of those life science and biotech tours in Boston, Kendall Square, and like you said, MIT was there. It was amazing, dude. And they were actually building a brand new facility.
And talk about an expensive facility to build, and the amount of technology that goes into the construction of those. I mean, it is fascinatingly expensive. You could put them next to each other on the outside. It looks like a regular old office building.
Yes.
You peel back the walls, you're like, oh my God.
Dude, and so people always say, like, what does building trades have to do with the biotech industry? Well, the precision that goes into research and development and manufacturing is bar none. They know they need a skilled and trained workforce to make sure that everything that is being put in these buildings is
It has
pristine.
to be perfect,
It has
or
to.
their work is useless.
Correct. And so, again, things that our members don't know, people don't know, this is why we work with big pharmaceutical companies and biotech and life sciences, because they've agreed to have PLAs on all their projects. And I don't know if you knew that. All the Kendall Square is built all union. I'm sure a lot of that success has to go to Marty Walsh, which I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
Great guy. He's somebody I look up to, like, big time, man, in all aspects of life. But maybe, I mean, you stop me if you want to jump into something else, but tell us what happened, you think, the first time this legislation got ran. So the A's was happening at the same time.
Yeah, and we were late to the game. Right? We didn't really, I didn't connect with Tony until middle of May. Vince Acaro, CEO of Sony, sorry. So we had kind of 6 weeks to run a highly complicated bill through legislature, team up with a different studio site and do a much bigger bill. And it was so big and there was so much education. It was very complicated. I think it feel like we just ran out of time.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of the off season, if you will, the 2 years between legislative sessions, doing our best to educate on, what the structure of this bill and why it's so different than what the general perception is. And as much as we did, we got to the legislative session this time, and it was clear that it almost just didn't work.
Yeah.
There's a massive difference between a tax abatement and a tax credit, right? An abatement, we just kind of give money back, right? And that's a lot of the projects that have been done in Las Vegas with the A's or Legion or go down the list. And there's a time and a place for that, and I totally understand it. This is a tax credit. So there is no money coming to Howard Hughes in tax abatements. We're paying full load, full tax. The studios earn a credit against their future taxes only if Howard Hughes spends $1.8 billion developing a mixed-use environment on this 100-acre site, and only if the studios spend $150 million a year filming at a minimum. And if I don't build it, I get hit with penalties. The state can lien my land. And if they don't spend it, they get hit with penalties between $10 and $50 million a year. Like, we are universally incentivized to put the money in the ground to build the facilities and to spend the money filming. And then only after the studio has been built, it's up and running, Sony and Warner have spent several $100 million filming. The movie's in the can, the documents go to Go Ahead audits it, then there's a tax credit issued. But that's a credit against what's been spent. So the money is going into the economy first. It's not give us a credit and then we'll spend the money. It's we're going to spend the money, go first. We're going to lean into this because we deeply believe in how much positive economic impact this can have. And then after that money's been spent, then there's a credit that goes to the studios. And, there are those that say that, hey, why should we be doing this? Can we afford to do this? And I say, can you afford not to?
Can you afford not to? I think it's a real diversification of the economy. We talk about diversifying the economy. Look, man, let's be honest. Tourism's down right now in Las Vegas.
It is.
And everyone's looking forward to the NFL season to kick off. And what's funny is that some of the same people who bitched about using the tax abatements and the credits and all that stuff for the Raiders are the same people who are now like thanking God, like, oh my God, yes, like the season's about to start. It's like, you don't have to go watch a game, but like, goddamn, bro, like your mom and aunt now get to have some people's rooms to clean on the fucking strip.
And the same people who said, well, we don't need the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Because we have a Super Bowl every year. It's like, it's a whole different, no pun intended, whole different game when it's actually physically in your backyard.
Correct.
And I don't think there's a city that's ever hosted a Super Bowl as well as Las Vegas did.
Oh, dude, I was on the host committee, and I don't want to get into that, but like it's amazing, dude. But to my point is, this is really diversifying the economy, and like you said, the amount of jobs it creates, the economical impact that can't be measured through certain formulas, because it's also the stuff that's going to be built around because the studio is here. How do you take that economical impact into account?
Well, there's really smart people that try to estimate that, and we hired Guy Hobbs, who we think is the preeminent expert in this region, to do the study, because we want to be conservative. We don't want to be out over our skis and overpromise and underdeliver. That's a great way to go out of business. And Howard Hughes has been around for over 50 years, and we want to be around for the next 50. So we're going to underpromise and overdeliver.
Yeah.
So based on his analysis of the $125 million tax credit, like the immediate give back, just in terms of immediate taxes day one that go back, is about 45%. But the actual impact of the hotel revenue, the office buildings, the workers, the caterers, the car services, all those tangential impacts of having, thousands of people working in a studio, pays the state back at over 40 to 1. So for every dollar of credit, there's $40 that are going back into the economy. And that impact it's estimated. It's not exact. The only thing I know for sure is it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's an estimate, like any estimate. It's the only thing we know. But I believe, based on what we've seen in other states and other areas that have done this, it's directionally correct.
Yeah.
And I think the impact that is often overlooked and underconsidered is the small business impact. Because when you have thousands of people running around a studio and you need to build a set that has a fill in the blank, you got to run down to Lowe's, you got to run down to a local hardware store. Somebody has to go run and get their hair done. They have to go to pizza for lunches, and all that other business that comes along with it is incredibly meaningful. And it's why these other states across the board are increasing or adding film tax credits. And they're doing it left and right. Which brings up another great question, right? Is like, well, how do we win? Like, if all these other states have these film tax credits, how does Nevada win? How does Las Vegas win? It's like, we have such a natural advantage. We have the workforce, the skilled labor that works in large-scale productions on the Strip already. We have a small film industry already. So the workers are here. Huge advantage, number one. They're not in New Mexico. They're not in Dubai. They're not in these other places that have film tax credits. Two, the proximity to LA. You take any movie star, director, or producer and say, I'm going to give you the option of filming in Vancouver, New Jersey, New Orleans, Atlanta, or Las Vegas. And only one of those, you're going home on the weekend to see your kids.
Yeah.
Right.
They're coming here every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I think Sony and Warner deeply believe in it. And they've told me they feel by having a presence in Las Vegas, they have a competitive advantage over their peers that can't offer the stars and the producers and the directors the opportunity to film close to home.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what happened the second time this got brought up what happened the second time this got brought up in the 2025 legislative session?
That's a great question. I felt like we had carried the ball down to the 1 yard line and we're ready to run it in. And, there was an explosion in the field and they called off the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard rumors, and I know you've heard them too, of what happened behind the closed doors of the last night of that session. But I'd hate to speculate because I wasn't there.
Yeah. We're hoping to bring in one of those people that had the meetings behind the closed doors that I had with about this bill specifically. We're hoping that they come on and we'll be able to get some clarification. I don't feel comfortable talking about it without them in the room. I want to give everybody a fighting chance.
Yeah. I'd hate to throw apples at someone that doesn't deserve it. So
for sure.
I'd rather sit on to them until I know for sure who deserves them.
Yeah. And I mean, even with that being said, man, look, I'll give you my point of view. The first time this got brought up, Building Trades was behind it. We agreed to have a project labor agreement. I think that was a good experience. I don't think that was bad. I don't think it's as horrible as people make it out to be. But we also had the ACE, right? And so two competing bills, essentially. One was being pushed a little harder than the other, only because, like you said, it was the last 6 weeks or whatever of session. I remember it very well. I was like, oh, we'll get it next time. Next time comes, there happens to be another bill again. No competition. Building Trades was supporting both. We had two film bills. It was bit of a mess. One of them had more legs than the other. Building trades had a PLA with both. But I think just one was more realistic, which is the one we're talking about now. I don't think that has anything to do with this one, although the feelings start getting involved. In Nevada politics, and I'll say this because I'm pretty comfortable talking about it, people get very vindictive and petty, and their egos get bruised, and then all of a sudden, good legislation dies in that building. I've seen it, whether it's a film studio, whether it's anything. And Daniel and I have talked about that on other podcasts. I think that Governor Lombardo needs to bring this back in a special session. We're working very hard to make sure that this gets on the agenda for a special session. And it's really hard for building trades to support any elected official that doesn't support jobs. Because when you don't support jobs, you're not supporting Nevada's working families. A PLA secures a local workforce, makes sure that the money gets spent in the local economy so that way we generate, because they're local people working in their community and they're spending the money locally.
It's all super important to us, as you know, Vince, in the agreement that we've signed, recently. It's, not only do we want the skilled labor getting it done, but we want the local skilled labor. Yeah. Like we gotta make sure that it's those that live here that benefit, and that's critically important to us.
Yeah. Is this going to be the first PLA that Howard Hughes has built under?
That's a great question. We spend about $1.5 billion in development a year.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are more.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any right now.
Yeah.
In Nevada,
and it's got to be in Nevada.
In Nevada,
probably. It's like everything we do in Hawaii and everything we've done in New York. It's always under PLA.
Yeah, well, this is the ninth island.
As I'm told, right? Yeah.
Well, because I know here locally, I mean, obviously, the building trades supports the bill because there's a PLA, right? And, I'm a firm believer that we don't have the A's without Vince and the building trades and the work that he did to make that happen. And us as union leaders, as labor leaders, we strive to ensure that not only our members, but the people who perform our work, who perform our crafts, are getting paid a fair wage and have the ability to live the American dream, right? And so PLAs are what kind of guarantees that our members and others who they may not even be our members, but they're performing our work, get those wages and benefits, right? Because that is the community, right? And what we see a lot of times, I know our members here in Southern Nevada, they don't have a real long-standing relationship with Howard Hughes because a lot of the Howard Hughes projects historically in this area are a lot of times open shop. There's some projects that I know my members have been on, but there's also some of Howard Hughes projects that I've stood outside with a picket sign. You know what I mean? 1700 Pavilion's one of them.
Sure.
That was a glazing job that went to a non-signatory Utah contractor, workers from Utah. We had an extremely competitive bid. And we're told that because of some relationships that were built that we weren't gonna get the job. And so for me, when I see a project going up in my city with contractors from out of town who bring in workers that undercut the wages and working conditions of my members, I take it extremely personally because it's my members that are this community, right? And no one should be doing the work that my members do for $20 an hour. And unfortunately, some of these contractors that get brought in, that's what they do. They house 15 people in an Airbnb. They undercut our wages and working conditions. They take that money and they leave the area. And so PLAs, community benefit agreements, that's really what we're focusing on to ensure that, the community benefits from the work, especially government-funded work, right? Especially when it's our tax dollars that are going towards it.
The other problem, from your perspective, if I'm sitting on your side of the table, is there are local companies here that don't pay their kids and workers and appropriately. They don't give them the education. They don't give them the benefits. 100%. That say you're in this role and pay them 50 cents on the dollar. And there's a number of those. We can go down the list. Don't work at Howard Hughes Properties.
100%.
For those reasons.
Yeah.
And we try to do our best under the confines of our general contracting agreement, because we're only under contract with the GC,
right,
to make sure that those names never show up.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, my members did end up on 1700 Pavilion, by the way, because all the glass failed that Utah contractor installed, and my contractor got called in to save the day and replace it all. So
Did you know this?
Oh, entirely. The
Really?
GC was on the hook for the whole thing. Yeah, because the glass was actually, it was the glass itself, not the installation, not the way, it was actually the fabrication failed. And I don't think every single piece, I think it was about 92% actually got replaced over the course of 120 days.
So we did get ours eventually, which is fine with me.
Right.
No. What
I think there's a lesson there, right?
Yeah.
Right?
what's your, if any, what's your take, what's your thoughts on Southern Nevada Building Trades and the project labor agreement? I guess separately and then together. Is there any nervousness? Is there any concerns?
None.
Okay.
None. We wouldn't have signed the deal if I didn't feel 1,000% comfortable that we were going to get incredible amounts of quality at a fair price.
And do you feel comfortable and confident to talk about the expansion of the PLA for this next go around?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So David and I met, and I let him know, and maybe I'm going to dress it up, put a little bit extra chili in the salsa, but I was like, hey man, I was like, basically we're going to need a little bit more firepower is what I told Pete. We can't go back with the same PLA and expect different results. Like that would be the definition of insanity. So Pete set up a meeting with David and I was like, hey, what does this look like to expand the PLA? And we had a meeting, and I'll let you take it from there, if anything. It's not some special, spectacular story, but I think it's important to talk about.
No, look, under our original agreements, we were going to have, under the PLA, the construction of the studio, and then the ongoing work within the studio covered under those agreements. What we did this time is we expanded it to include all the core and shell of the retail in the front of this, because this is not just a studio we're being built. It's 100-acre. The studio's 40% of it. The other 60% is multiple office buildings, hotels, and a big retail shopping center that we're now including that retail shopping center, all the core and shell work as part of this PLA.
Nice.
As part of that LOI, we've also talked about making sure we're local first, and we're emptying our halls before anybody else's, to say it a different way. And look, I think that, as part of that meeting, in all candor, I came hat in hand.
Yeah.
Right? Because I went pushing this bill as Howard Hughes, going forward, one of the largest taxpayers in the state, and I got my head slammed on a car door twice.
Yeah.
And I'm candidly, personally humbled and honored that you all will take up this charge for us, that you'll fight for this. And I think, and I believe deeply in my heart that you will have better luck than if I try and get my head slammed in a car door a third time. So look, I can't just tell you how grateful I am that we have this agreement and that we're able to work together and see the people that are going to benefit immediately in this construction fight the fight to get the bill passed.
Yeah. I think Daniel and I have spoken about this a couple of times. We're not lobbyists. We have lobbyist badge, but we're not hired guns in the sense of that. Like, we are asking for things that we genuinely give a fuck about. Like, there's no profit for us. And not to say like, oh, big corporations. No.
We genuinely care about this.
I believe it, yeah.
Because our community benefits, and if our community benefits, we profit, right?
Yes.
You genuinely care about this because your members get jobs and they get paid and they profit, right? We're very much aligned.
Correct.
Neither of us are making money for the fact that we're lobbying.
Correct.
We only make money if we're successful and we put money in our constituents' pockets.
Yes. 100% correct. And that's where I was going into. There were some people up there that are against the bill who are only against it because they're getting fucking paid to go against it. There's no real genuine reason why. And so what we like to say is that if we're up there fighting for something, it's because there's a genuine love and there's literally hungry families behind us asking to go to work. That's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
Correct.
Especially on someone maybe listening to that.
Dude. Oh, believe me, I'm under a microscope for sure. It's not a threat, but it's like, I need them to know. And Peter Guzman.
Sure.
So Peter and I talk about this often. We smoke a lot of cigars. We do a lot of things. And that's the one thing that I said. Actually, he had a labor lunch, Latin Chamber lunch. And Sony and Warner Brothers CEOs were there. And he just was like, hey, do you mind saying some words, like off the cuff? And I was like, yeah, dude, that's what I do. So, and that's the statement I made. And the point was like, if you have the chamber, you know, business, labor behind it, what else is there that makes up the community? Now, schools, they're benefiting. Mm-hmm. We could say no, but they are with the pre-K plan.
Yeah.
Everybody has a little piece in this. Everybody has something that they're going to benefit from. And to vote no, I think is just a lack of knowledge and information that some electeds don't want.
Well, they're fed misinformation and they think it's true. And even if we can refute it, they just won't look because it serves their basis just to believe misinformation. Like, I can't tell you how many elected officials I met with and how many other business leaders have been told and believe that Howard Hughes is getting a handout as part of this bill.
What's the dumbest fucking thing you heard so far in the legislature? I'm curious about this.
Oh, man. Like, I think when I hear over and over again, why should we be giving Howard Hughes money to build a studio? I'm like, hold on a second. I'm building a studio in partnership with Sony and Warner, and I'm doing it at a break-even rate. I'm making no money. 40 acres, that's most people would value $1.5 million an acre. I'm kind of giving away. Now, if that doesn't work, and that's the only thing that's built, the studio, I've spent hundreds of millions, $400 million for nothing, no return. The reason why we do it is because it creates the jobs that fills houses, that fills apartments, that go to restaurants, that shop in stores, that fill office buildings, that drive economic growth. We believe that it is worth investing hundreds of millions of dollars in something that we won't make money on because it's a catalyst that spurs value creation, that spurs jobs, that spurs economic development in this state, like dropping a pebble in a pond, concentric circles that just go out of growth. And like, if we didn't deeply believe in it, we wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a legislator who voted no on the studio bill, obviously from the assembly side because the Senate never voted on it at the end. So, but I talked to her. She stood in front of my members, a month or so before the vote. I had a rally at my hall, and she said, we support jobs and we support PLAs and we support unions, and she voted for Allegiant State or for A Stadium, and she's going to keep voting, and then was a no. And I talked to her about it, and what it came down to, I don't think was even her knowledge of the bill or lack thereof. It was the politics within that chamber, right? Leadership was doing this, and why should we do this for leadership? And I said, you completely forgot about, you were in my hall, my members and their kids were in there, and you looked at them and you told them you're going to support their lives. You're gonna vote for good paying jobs. My members, when we work, we don't need government assistance, right? We don't need food stamps, and we don't need government health care, and we don't need free school lunch. When my members are working, we can fund the economy. And that's always what happens, especially in this town when the economy goes down. We talked about this on the last podcast, but 2008, I was here and we were building City Center. In 2020, me and my members were here, and we were building Raider Stadium.
And the Sphere, and the Highway Project,
right,
and Resorts World, right, and Turnberry site, right. And when there are headwinds, the construction industry has held this economy up.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've been saying.
That's what he's been saying.
And it feels like we're heading there, right? It feels like the economy is not looking too good, but we have the A Stadium, we have Hard Rock going right now, we have Brightline, and hopefully we'll have this movie studio, and that's what's going to keep us going through the downtime. But it does seem like my members and their families get forgotten, right? They get remembered at the legislature when there's a movie studio bill, right? And there's a PLA, and then we get remembered when there's a stadium. But then sometimes it just feels like there's all this time in between. And we don't have community benefit agreements with any of the municipalities. We don't have any PLAs with any private developers that just want to look out for us, right? Mm-hmm. It's always when there's an incentive. And so we'll take it, right? And we'll fight for it. And I can assure you that the A's don't happen without the building trades and our members.
I'm certain of it. Yeah. And I know this wouldn't happen without your support. I'm not blind to what goes on. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. From our perspective, at the end of the day, I'm a fiduciary to my shareholders.
Sure.
Right? And when the unions and organized labor is really busy in building a lot of stuff, mm-hmm. and then I go to do a really small, little, cute office building.
Yeah.
Sometimes the numbers I get back are a little fancy.
Sure. Sure.
And under those situations, if I use the fancy numbers, I can't build a building because it doesn't make economic sense.
Yeah.
But all things being equal, I would do a PLA on every project.
Well, and I hope that I hope this bill passes, obviously. I'm confident that it will. I'm confident we'll be able to get it across the line. And then we have this successful PLA, and I really hope it kind of spurs a relationship.
Part of the PLA is that everything that gets built in the 100 acres, I'm absolutely including union bids.
Nice. I love that.
Forced upon the GCs to do that.
Good.
And, the tie goes to the one that does a better job.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think you'll see, and everyone will see, and they've seen it, right? They know the value. When we build under PLAs, those jobs are the highest quality projects there are because it's our members that are doing it.
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
And under that situation, if your members aren't busy, I'm going to get great bids.
Yeah.
And we're going to build something really competitive.
Yes.
And if they're super busy on the strip doing something massive like a Sphere,
Yeah.
I get it, right?
Yeah. The market is what the market is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way it should work.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I love it. I'm excited.
Yeah. Ditto.
Excited, dude.
Because the earliest the tax credit can be earned is after 2028. It doesn't touch this biennium. And all the money has to go into the economy first.
Right.
So we're spending money to grow the economy and just taking a little piece of it back to go to the studios to make it competitive for them to film here.
Right.
It's not touching the school budget. It's not going to cause a shortfall. No one else is going to have to fill a hole that could be created by this. Because if we don't build a studio, hundreds of millions of dollars. If they don't film the movies, hundreds of millions of dollars. We can't get the 27 cents on the dollar back.
Yes.
Right. So
I say we, they.
Right.
I don't want to imply that we're getting it.
No, I get it.
It's like a misunderstanding. And, how do we convince?
Tell the truth.
Right.
It's to tell the truth. Let's just call it what it is, to tell the truth. Yeah, I don't know. If you had a message, and we could wrap up after this or not, but it's really up to you.
I could talk about this for days.
Yeah. So if you had a message to any electeds who say, I'm not going to give billionaires. Oh, maybe, wait, we already touched on that. What about to an elected who, if you had any message to give to an elected who's going to vote no or somebody that voted no last time, what would you say to them?
I would say listen to the details of the bill. Take the time to learn and understand it and make your decision based on the merits or the problems that you see within it. Don't do it on a headline. Don't latch on to misinformation. Actually read it and look at the details because I think it is so solid in the core of how it's structured that it's really hard not to support. Yeah. It doesn't come out until the money goes in. We're keeping jobs local. Requirements within the studios, they have to be local. There's no film tax credit. Yeah. We're signing PLAs to make sure these studios get built the right way. We're getting money back into pre-K funding. I'm spending $8 million, Howard Hughes, to build a training facility with Nevada partners. Mm-hmm. And we're putting $6 million back into local businesses. Like, I think that on every way you look at this, it's hard to disagree if you get past the false narratives and fake news of negative headlines and you actually look at the details. I think it's hard not to support.
So what we're doing is we're telling the electeds, we're explaining to them the amount of jobs this is going to create, all of the things we've been talking about the last 45 minutes. And where they were like, well, nobody's talking to us. Nobody's explained this to us. I said, write a list of questions, send them to so-and-so, and they will get answered.
David.O'Reilly@howardhughes.com. Right.
And you know,
I'll be there. Like, I've seen you there more than anybody else.
Yeah,
I'm not the guy that sits in the top floor and looks out the corner window office. I'm in the weeds. I know the details. Like, I believe in this because families that work at Howard Hughes and their kids are going to benefit.
Yeah.
We're going to get better schools. We're going to get better fire. We're going to get better services. We're going to see economic growth and development, and we're going to sustain the next downturn without hoping somebody spends billions of dollars on a new casino, which doesn't feel likely right now.
No. Not right now, man. No. So we have yet to receive any emails with questions, concerns, or asking specific questions about a proponent in the bill. It doesn't exist.
Man, I have little cheat sheets and little summary statements, and I've got everything that I can try to make it as easy as possible.
Okay.
But if someone really wants to get in the weeds of the legislation, we can do that too.
So let's fast forward. All things go good. Governor signs the bill. It goes when the shovels go in the ground? What are we thinking?
So we were ready. We would have had I think we would have had shovels in the ground now if it passed in June. When it didn't pass, I stopped spending money designing the studio. So I got to restart that engine. I think it's probably end of 1Q, early 2Q. We're at least doing site work and grading and heavy machinery. And then if we're able to accelerate the permitting process, 3Q, 4Q, 26, hopefully going vertical.
Yeah. Well, every
And when you put those ceremonial shovels in the ground, you're going to give one to my boy because the A's didn't give him a shovel, and it pissed me off.
It fucking pissed me off too.
I
mean, there was people up there with a shovel that had nothing to do. And listen, I mean, some people I respect and I like, but they had nothing to do with the bill. They had nothing to do with getting across. But they got that little gold shovel and they got to put it in the ground. My boy's sitting here in the back, and I was like, man, how disrespectful, you know?
Well, listen, we get this thing done. Vince's front row,
and he gets a shovel. All right,
shovel. Like, look, when I've told Sony, I told Mark Wahlberg, and I told Warner Brothers. I said, if we get this bill done, we're going to go to the New York Stock Exchange. We're going to ring the opening bell, the closing bell.
Nice.
And Vince, you ever been on the podium up there?
No, man. We'll make that happen.
You know I'm a man of my word. You've got the invite.
No, that's awesome, dude.
That'd be
great.
It's a different experience.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited for this thing. Every story has a superhero and villains, and I can't wait to fucking see who's who when we get up there, man. You know what I mean?
You got your cape?
Fuck yeah, bro. No. I'm like the Punisher, bro. I'm the villain fucking superhero. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah, dude. I like that shit. But I'm excited, dude. I'm ready. I appreciate our partnership. Looking forward to continue to work with you. And Nevada's Working Family thanks you all, and thanks for pushing this through. I don't know if Daniel's got anything.
No, I appreciate you coming and talking to us. So, I mean, you are the very first guest.
Well, God bless you guys. Thank you so much for the work that you do. It's really incredible, and I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
For sure. Thanks
a lot.
Appreciate it.